Calling makes June 18th committee, Fitchburg City Council as a whole committee. Again, finalizing the budget process. You have the budget before you. We've had our hearings, we've had our debates. Petition 18. Oh, we have a couple of petitions. 11813, Mayor Lisa A. Wong to create a financial task force with a term to last from September 1st, 2013 through September 1st, 2015, as outlined in the enclosed petition. Any discussion?
I'm going to make a motion that it pass.
Motion to accept 11813. Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Councilor Di Natale.
Mr. President, I just want to state that I'm opposed to this petition, and I'm opposed to it because I believe that we already have the right people in place in the city finance team to guide the administration on the appropriate courses of action to take to address our issues, as well as this council, which has very experienced and dedicated members that have knowledge of the city finances. We have 5 individuals directly working in the finances of the city, 3 of which are CPAs. I can't think of, and I know all 5 people, I can't think of a better group to do this than them. I'm not saying this petition suggests that they can't do the job, but for me, I don't really understand the aim for this when we already have a group of financial advisors that report to the mayor that can give the mayor and this council direction on where we need to go. And quite honestly, we already have been told quite a bit about what's plaguing this city, and a lot of stuff is beyond the city's control. I'm not saying it's a bad thing if it goes through, but I think it's repetitive and unnecessary. I don't see a need for it. So I will be voting against it. Thank you.
Councilor Hay.
President, I concur with Councilor Di Natale that there is a finance team and plenty of people working for the city of Fitchburg to give the mayor advice on finances. Secondly, the mayor has 2 avenues that she could go down. She could certainly ask any business owner and any group of people for their advice regarding our finances in the budget. And the other part is that the mayor can create this committee without the city council. She doesn't need us to do this. So I'm a bit perplexed as to why it's before us and what the attempt is to do. I hope that the mayor continues to do finances the way she has and relies on her finance team and asks outside individuals for input. And if she determines that she wants to put together some type of committee, she is well within her right to go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Councilor.
My reason for seconding was to give the mayor an opportunity to speak on this, since we heard a little bit from her at the first meeting, but wanted to hear more details and more information about it. As a former mayor, I understand the idea of having a broader a base to reach out to get direction in that, but I just want to hear the mayor's explanation of it before voting on it. So my purpose of seconding was to give the mayor an opportunity to speak. So.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, any committee could certainly be formed by myself or private citizens or any city councilors. I just thought that this was the most expeditious way to go because it involves the city council from the get-go. And to say that we would like to seek outside opinion over the city's long-term financial position. The city's financial position, which is not just having balanced budgets, but also looking at things the city may want to have in the future, directions we may want to go that are not financial in nature. For example, there are people in different wards that might say, because we live in a far-off ward, or we don't have kids in the school, or because we do have kids in the school, or because we enjoy parks, or because we're too far away from parks, or because we're on a private road, or because we're a business. I mean, there's a lot of opinions that I don't believe that just myself or the employees of the city can discuss in determining our future, especially since we've seen that by 2020 we have some serious financial issues, and in the long term we also have some serious financial issues. I think the solutions may lie outside our realm, or they They certainly may lie outside our realm if they are things that are not within our control, and they may take substantial lobbying efforts on our behalf, or our inclusion of other gateway cities, or inclusion of our state delegation. I would want to establish a blue ribbon committee, no matter what, of people who have qualifications, people who have lived here all of their lives, people who are new residents. What would they like to see? As broad of a cross-section as possible. I think that an 11-member committee that is made up of representatives appointed by the City Council does a few things. It allows for there to be ward representation. It allows for there to be both business and residential representation. It also allows for there to be the creation of a committee where I do not appoint somebody to it, but is made up entirely of members appointed by the City Council. And that the meetings, I think, are probably conducive to an environment in which people are sitting around a round table with their sleeves up on the internet, throwing out ideas, reading articles, bouncing things back and forth, things that we don't really have the forum to do. And in a manner that's organized, publicized regularly, where they may seek input, where those discussions become part of the public discourse, and hopefully can make some recommendations on where we as finance leaders and legislative leaders and executive leaders, making sure that we are on track, and potentially telling us where we aren't on track. And hopefully their input will last longer than all of our respective either 2-year cycles or 3 to 5 year appointments, as city staff. These are residents and businesses who really have a longer lifespan than we do in the community. I would love to really have their input as we make some major decisions moving forward.
Did you have your hand up? Councilor T-Bowman, yes.
So that's exactly what I heard you say at the original meeting, which is why I support it, because I think it's a great opportunity that we're part of that solution, and there's not many avenues where we can put our heads together in a collective way. And the other big, outside of this space, which sometimes can be restrictive, cameras are on, all sorts of things, factors that could influence folks, the process in general. And the other thing is the issue of quality of life and those solutions, and really looking at what it is that our city really needs and wants as we move forward into dealing with these long-term issues. We can't solve them today with passing a budget or cutting a budget today, but in looking forward, I think we can make some real sustainable footprints and leave some marks for for the future, our future citizens, and not leave the mess that was left to us to clean up. So I applaud the mayor. I thank her for allowing us to be a part of this process and the solution. So I see it as a positive thing.
Councilor Bean.
Questions of the city solicitor. Does this require, it's a petition tonight that if the council passes it, does it require an ordinance form following that? Or is it just I just didn't know the correct legislative process, what happens? Does it become part of the ordinance? Or is it a petition granted and then what happens?
I believe, Councilor, it would be sort of a stand on its own. I don't think it would require an ordinance. It would just establish that
One time.
task force, as a body.
Okay.
I guess I have an opinion on this if everybody else has spoken. I feel that as it's worded that we need to have a representative from each council that's the counselor, okay? We were elected to be looking at the future, looking at the finances of the city. We don't always have the ability to do that. To think that if we get a group of citizens in that can help us to understand what we need. I think my constituents tell me on a daily basis what we need. We need safer streets. We need better streets, no potholes. We need adequate school system. We need, everybody knows the list of things, maintaining our buildings. There's a lot of things that the city of Fitchburg needs, and we all know what those needs are, and we all know kind of what's keeping us from doing that is we don't have any money to do that. So I don't know if a committee would be able to come up with ways of getting money, but I just think that the only ways to come up with money is to go for tax exempts, tax increases and things like that, and that's another thing that our constituents tell us every day. We want more services, but we don't want to pay for them. And our thing is to go to the state legislature to lobby them for more money. That's the people in this room, to go to the state, to lobby the legislators for more money, for more programs. So to me, it's kind of a redundant group. We know what our needs are, we know what our wants are, we know what our restrictions are. And I guess if we need to put our heads together and have a financial forum or a financial summit of the city council, then let's have a financial summit of the city council and figure out what our needs are and how we could possibly go forward in getting that. Because a lot of our things, saving money on the budget, is union-based. We're kind of have our hands tied on union-based type things. So if we want to have a financial summit, let's have a city council financial summit. But I don't think we need to each have a person in our ward to represent us at a meeting as how we're going to move the city forward. It's just my opinion. Motion's been made and seconded to approve 11813. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, petition 11913, amend Chapter 3, Article 5 of the Fitchburg City Code so that the salaried positions of city solicitor and assistant city solicitor reflect a contract service expense to be selected and or renewed by the mayor of the city of Fitchburg on an annual basis effective July 1st, 2013.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We got to have a motion to speak on the motion.
Okay. Well, then I move 11913 be accepted.
Motion made and seconded to adopt 11913. Discussion. Councilor Di Natale.
Thank you. I sent a letter to the council as a whole and to the mayor several weeks ago expressing my thoughts on this. And to be brief, the mayor has conned to us several times this year and in years past asking us for suggestions on how to, trim down the pension and health care costs. This wasn't an easy petition for me to put forward because it does affect two specific individuals that work for the city. What drove me to do this is that this is purely an ordinance under the city that pays our solicitors as full-time employees. And we have the authority to change that if we so wish. I looked at the city of Leominster in particular, whose contract legal services is $185,000 a year. Ours is about $315,000, and this year it's about $267,000. Well, FY14's proposal is $267,000. The average spend over the last 5 years has been about $315,000. That does not include one-time costs like judgment awards or the like. So there is a city of a comparable size, comparable budget that spends $130,000 less per year on legal services, and that doesn't even include health care and pensions. Again, I'm not picking on these positions. I'm merely focused on them first because of the avenue we are allowed, because it's not a union position. And this is simply answering the mayor's call for suggestions on how to trim these two costs that are ballooning. It has no way whatsoever a reflection on my part of the services we're getting from these individuals. In fact, I would hope that they stay on if this were to go through. And I would even be open to amending the date of effectiveness, since we're so close to it. But my honest opinion is, if this doesn't pass, I don't know how serious we are as a council in trying to assist the mayor in getting these costs down. This is not going to cure it. This is not going to even put a large dent into it. But it's a step in the right direction, given the fact that there are several communities all over the country that privately contract out their legal services. And they get by just fine. And the letter I gave all of you gives you a bullet point of what the services that this firm provides. So that was my motivation to put this in. Answering the mayor's call for suggestions, and the fact that there are many other cities and towns in the state and in the country that do private legal services. Why not us? And I can't stress this enough, because when I put it in, I was afraid of the fact that everyone's going to focus on the individuals. For me, anyway, I can't put that focus on it. It's not about them, it's about the expenses. And I think it's time that we get in line with other cities and towns that are getting, if at worst, the same amount of services we're getting at far less of an expense. I'm almost certain that the solicitors will disagree with me, and they will point to reasons why this would not be the right avenue to take. But again, other cities and towns have done it, and they've done it at a lot less cost, a lot lower cost. So I believe that this is one small step we can take to address our pension and health care problems. Thank you.
Councilor Hay.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a sticky wicket. I think this body, a few years ago when the mayor proposed making the city solicitors full-time and changed from them having a stipend to run their office and included in that their salaries, which raised their pension benefits. I voted for it. And I'm not sure if it was the right thing to do or not. I wrestle with that on a regular basis because of a lot of things, because of the services we get. Do they work for us? Do they work for the mayor? All of those other things. And while I agree with Councilor Di Natale that this is certainly one of the ways to assist the mayor in her attempts to get the pension numbers down, when Councilor Di Natale says that, he doesn't want to focus on the individuals, and I truly believe wholeheartedly that he is not casting any aspersions on their abilities or their work ethic or what they supply to the city of Fitchburg. But we do need to focus on the individuals. These people took these positions based on an agreement that they had with the city that included that pension plan and included compensation packages for amounts of work. And to change that in midstream on the individuals that are in the position, in my opinion, is wrong. I would support this 100% if the object was that once the two individuals that are in these positions retire, resign, move somewhere else, or do whatever, that we go back to the old way and job this out, and that they not be full-time city employees who receive pensions and benefits. I think that would be the ultimate good thing for us, but I don't think it's appropriate to do it to people who have made career choices and decisions that affect their families and their abilities to pay their mortgages and put roofs over their heads and feed their children and do all those other things to change in midstream on that. I just think that we entered into an agreement. We need to at least fulfill our obligation to that agreement to these specific individuals. Once they're done, if I'm still here, or if we can do something now that says once they're done, it changes, I would be glad to support it. But I do believe we have to take the individuals into consideration. Thank you.
Councilor Caddy.
I just want to comment to Councilor Di Natale. I don't think anybody is looking at you thinking that it's pointing towards an individual or they're not doing their job. So you should just not comment on that, I think. But I also had thought about this a couple of times, and a couple of years ago, I filed a petition to take away the health benefits of city councilors. I wanted to put that petition in 6 years ago, but there were 2 or 3 councils on the council that were getting those benefits. 2 years ago, those people were getting off the council, so the timing was right to put the petition in, because if you were coming on the council, you knew coming on the council you weren't going to get health benefits. So you had the choice either to take the job or not, to run or not run, to take the job. Having said that, I feel exactly like Councilor Hay. You hire someone for a position and you tell him what the pay is going to be, what the benefits are going to pay, and once he takes the position, you can't go back and take that away from him. That's why unions were formed, because of that exact reason. Given our present councilor's age, they might be here a year or 2, 3, maybe. We'll be able to see this again. Hopefully, Councilor Di Natale, some of the younger people, you'll still be around, and hopefully you remember this and you say, the timing is now. Now, the timing is now. But I do agree with you. The thought is right. I agree with you. Something has to be done. We got to go in that direction. But I feel like Councilor, not in midstream. I don't think you should pull the rug out from somebody.
Councilor Reynolds.
I was just going to ask you to read the petition, please.
Petition says, amend Chapter 3, Article 5 of the Fitchburg City Code so that the salaried positions of the city solicitor and assistant city solicitor reflect a contract services expense to be selected and or renewed by the mayor of the city of Fitchburg on an annual basis effective July 1st, 2013. Is that?
That's it.
Okay, Councilor B.
I just want to echo Councilor Hay and Councilor Caddy's comments. As a former mayor myself, I had the honor to appoint city solicitor and assistant city solicitors. I didn't have the opportunity to give them full-time work, which you had, but I'm trying to hire people on and negotiate. I'm sure we would be tying the mayor's hands or putting her in a compromising position by changing that process midstream. So I would be opposed to doing it under the current plan, but as Councilor Hayes said, or Councilor Caddy said, in future years, when the position is vacant, and looking to fill it, I think it would be an appropriate time to do it.
And I'll just give my piece. I consider the position of the city solicitor to be a job that is at the will of the mayor. It is not at the will of the council. The places within Massachusetts that hire outside firms to do their city solicitors do so by the choice of the mayor, not by the choice of an ordinance. Okay, to say that we can govern the mayor's decision as to who they have as a city solicitor by the city council imposing rules, I think is beyond our authority as a city council. The city solicitor, and this is no personalities at all, no families, no I don't care what. It's the will of the mayor to determine who the city solicitor will be. And that's always been the way. And I would in no way entertain a petition by the mayor to have the city clerk and her positions be contracted, because she decides that would be cheaper and she would be able to save salaries and pensions. It is at the will of the city council to determine who the city clerk is, and she negotiates the salary, but we negotiate the terms. So I would know that this is the two things that are somewhat sacred in our city government. The mayor determines who the city solicitor is at will. The next mayor can come in and say, see you later, and go to Copeland, Page, and whoever, or they can bring on another city solicitor. into the mayor's office with benefits and salary. That's a 2-year position. John has to understand it's a 2-year position. Whoever takes that position can understand that it's a 2-year position because you're at the will of the mayor. As soon as the next mayor comes in, they can either keep the current city solicitor or go out and get their own. They can bring somebody in as a city employee, or they can do it as a contract service. I would no more impose my will as a counselor on the mayor's ability to determine who their city solicitor is going to be as I would try to have the mayor impose upon me what kind of service or what kind of person I would want to have as a city clerk. So to me, it's not even a purview of the city council to make the decision of whether or not the city solicitor position should be a contracted position or a city position. Just my thoughts. Motion made and seconded to approve 11913. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion doesn't carry. So next item on the agenda is the budget orders.
Mr. President, can we vote some of these out of, like, make a motion to approve some of these out of order, like all the revolving funds to start, or?
Do any of these revolving accounts have any impact on any cuts that we would make to the budget?
No. The only orders would be the ones that relate to the enterprise funds and the airport, But I think from 140, page 3, 140 to 150 are fine.
I move, Mr. President, that 140-13 up to and including 150-13 be approved.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve 140 up to and including 150. Any further discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, on 130-13, which is the fiscal budget
Yes.
in its entirety, I'm just going to give a suggestion. I mean, the city clerk has been providing the council regular updates on cuts that councilors have proposed, and there was the latest one that was sent out was on June 7th. I don't know if everybody has a copy of it. I'm looking at it right now, but I guess I'm trying to figure out strategy-wise how we attack this, because if councilors wish to make cuts, we have a list, and I'd be prepared to make a motion that we adopt the cuts that I proposed in their entirety, or if we have to do it line by line, I don't know. I don't know how we want to go about this. Or we make no cuts. I don't know. Every year it seems to be a question that we have when we have this kind of a vote, so I don't know the appropriate avenue to take here.
Let's have some discussion on that first. Councilor Hay.
Yeah, I guess I'm of two minds here. If there's anybody here who wants to pass the budget as it was submitted to us, I'd like them to make a motion and get a second, and if the majority wants to do that, then it just happens, and it would be a waste of our time, effort, and energy to go through all the individual cuts that have been proposed by councilors. If that were to fail, if nobody makes that motion and/or that motion were to fail, then I believe what we should do is go through and vote on each individual recommended cut by a councilor that we came to through the budget process. Some may pass, some may not pass, and then we could vote on the budget with those recommendations.
Councilor T-Bowman, yes.
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion to approve the fiscal year 14 budget
As presented.
as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those in opposition? The budget
7 does not pass.
doesn't pass.
I'll make a motion that, Mr. President, may I speak?
Yes, you can make a motion.
That's it? Make a motion?
Sure, make a motion.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to start the process of cutting $29,000 from holidays from the police department.
Oh, you're not going to make a motion to accept all of your budget?
I don't know if we wanted to do it line by line. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe-
I would gladly do that.
Maybe there'll be enough.
Okay, I will make a motion that my proposed cuts that total $862,496 be approved.
Motion made. Do I hear a second, please? Motion is not seconded. Okay. Councilor Reynolds.
I thought that we were advised that we have to go line by line to cut.
He had a line-by-line cut that had been proposed, and that was what he was recommending that we adopt.
Yeah.
And it didn't, that wasn't seconded. Councilor Hay.
Do the proposals, could we do them in the order that they were on the sheet that the clerk gave us, and do them one at a time?
On this, do we have, you can keep track of what numbers and all that stuff they
Yep.
were on the police, holidays, recommended reduction $29,000.
Move that cut be approved.
Motion made and seconded to approve that. Any discussion?
I'll second. Sorry.
Just speaking on the motion, Mr.
Speaking on
President.
the motion.
Just so I'm clear with everybody, the cuts that I'm proposing total $862,000. The budget is structurally unbalanced by $1.58 million, and $580,000 that is stabilization money. So the whole aim with my cuts that I proposed was, priority number one for me anyway, was to get us off the 580, not use stabilization to balance the budget. And then the remaining money would be going towards restoration of the 2 police officers that the mayor cut and the 4 firefighters that the mayor cut. That 862, or 842, because 20 of that's in a wastewater account, 842 would cover getting off of STABE to balance the budget and restoring 6 public safety positions.
Yeah.
So that was the, that is the path for my cuts. But at a minimum, 580, in my opinion, to get us off stabilization. And then the public safety cuts would go through, but that's where my cuts are leading to. Thank you.
Councilor Hay.
I concur with Councilor Di Natale. The 580 for me is the key. I have spoken with the mayor and asked if cuts were made, if she would be restoring them, and the mayor indicated to me that she would not be restoring any other cuts, that she believes that we do not need to do any additional spending. So my goal here tonight is to simply to get the 580 so that we don't have to take it out of stabilization. That was why I recommended the big chunk come from the snow and ice recommendation that I made, and if this body were to approve that, then it's another $180,000 that I think we can find somewhere in this budget so that we can keep that 580 in stabilization. Thank you.
Councilor Caddy.
Just one clarification. Councilor Di Natale said something about replacing 2 police officers, but my memory is the chief at our meeting said there aren't 2 police officers that need to be replaced. Could we clarify that with the chief? Could we clarify that with the chief? Mr. President?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when somebody said the 2 were going to retire, we weren't sure what those 2 were. I believe it was a prior discussion the mayor had with the union on 2 additional officers.
So the police department in net, from what I understand, is 1 up And then you have dispatchers that have been hired to take the police officers out of dispatch and put them back on the streets. So we've somewhat gained some police officers on the street because we've hired 12 dispatchers. Is that true?
Yes, and we have 3 police officers now attending the police academy.
So my point is, there are not 2 police officers that are retiring that we're not replacing. So I just want to make that point, because that's my memory from the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Tebow Munoz.
I guess I think it's, commendable that, the council wants to put forward solutions to continue to use the stabilization, to not take the money out of stabilization. Again, I think long-term, that is a plan that needs to be looked at. I feel like our services, and I'm constantly hearing from department heads and from other people that they don't have the funds already, that they're, we can't pass new laws, we can't do more stuff and provide more services for our residents that deserve it because we don't have any money. And, to me, it comes down to a quality of life issue. I think it's really ambitious that the council would like to tell the mayor where her funding goes, which again goes back to what our roles are. To me, it seems like this money is going to go back into general fund, and if some of these department heads want this money, they're going to come back to us and ask us for it if they have to meet their budget. It seems like it's just, we're at a place, I think, that if we would have been there about 6 years ago, this budget should have been our budget 6 years ago, and perhaps our stabilization fund would have been higher, would have, could have, should have. But we're at this place now. As far as I'm concerned, there was a short span of time for me to really look at, what are these things that want to be cut? $29,000 from holiday, from the chief's budget, from police. All these small numbers that add up to this total of 800,000 or. It just seems to me like it's a drop in a bucket in a budget that's already where we're struggling as a city. So I can't in good faith today vote on any of these cuts. I think long-term conversations need to happen. I think we had a missed opportunity today as a council. I regret that. I'm disappointed in that. But I just have to put that out there, that we have bigger problems, that these cuts are just not going to do anything.
Councilor Tran.
Mr. President, there's no one in this room who would disagree that we have financial problems now and will be exacerbated in a few years from now. I don't want to see the city 3-4 years from now make a huge, enormous cut in the form of $3 or $4 million. If we have an opportunity now to take a small step, I would suggest that we take that small step. The direction that I'm looking at is reducing this budget by at least $500,000 at the minimum. If we can reinstitute the committed stabilization money that we all voted for to be put back into the fund, that would be the ideal situation. But looking at the cuts, I would prefer taking Councilor Hayes' proposals, particularly the $350,000, combine that with the cuts for the workers' comp, health insurance, life insurance, other benefits. That would put us about $500,000. And I'm sure we can find, as a council, $80,000 somewhere else. If we can't, I would be happy with the $500,000 cut. Thank you.
Councilor Reynolds.
I'll yield to the mayor if she's raised her hand.
I just want, because I know that crossing fiscal years gets a little tricky, and I just want to make sure that this point is clear. The bond councils look at whether you take money out of stabilization once it's already in. If it's within a fiscal year, then such as what we did within this budget, they don't see it. All they see is the end net, which is a net increase. But if this funding is put into stabilization for the fiscal year 14 budget, and then it's taken out for snow and ice, then that would be seen as a bad thing, because you're actually then increasing than decreasing. So but if you want to do that, if you want to pump up stabilization sooner, then what I would do instead, just for clarity, is that when free cash becomes available and certified, I would immediately restore the snow and ice reserve then. It's basically, which one do you do first? So either we keep the snow and ice reserve now because we know we're going to need it, and then when free cash is certified, I put stabilization back in then, and there's an increase. Or you cut this now, it increases stabilization, and then my first priority once free cash is certified would be to restore the reserve. Right, so by the end of October, we should be ending up in the same place. But if you want to do it now, I'm pretty sure there's enough funding in free cash to do that, to restore the reserve. Did I confuse you or clarify things?
Just a question on the free cash.
No, please. Councilor Reynolds.
You answered one of the questions I was going to have when it was previously stated that in a conversation with you, perhaps it was a private conversation, that you would not put money back in that we'd cut. I was wondering, how could you do that from snow and ice? Because we have to take care of that. It doesn't seem like there's an option there. But thank you for clarifying that. See if I understand you correctly. You're saying if we touch the monies in the stabilization fund now, there's no harm in that, or not bond rating or anything like that, because we are free to do it. We put it in, we can take it out. As long as it doesn't show up at the year's end. It won't show up that we put it in if we take it out right away. Is that right? It won't show up. The state won't see that it was in there and that we took it out. And that's the reason that we care about the state, is because, or the bonding companies, is because our bonding would be affected by that procedure, right?
So the only way that it would show up as a net negative to the state is if I chose to then take future snow and ice out of stabilization.
Right.
I'm not going to do that, so we're not at any risk.
So, I mean, October's is the deadline.
Yes, but for the past 5 Octobers, I've set aside free cash for stabilization. So I'm just letting you know that if this passes, then I'm just sort of flipping things. Instead of setting aside money for stabilization first, I would actually set aside money for snow and ice first.
So our expressed concern, several individuals have expressed a concern that we can't touch the stabilization once we put it in. Is in fact, that can be mitigated by what the situation that you just expressed. It's not so critical that we don't take it out of stabilization right now. Other councilors, do you understand what I'm saying, or?
Yep. Councilor Di Natale.
Ladies and gentlemen, $580,000. I mean, I feel like there's a plan here. This is the mayor's budget. This is not Chief Demora's budget. This is not Chief Roy's budget. This is not Director Curry's budget. Part of our job, as you all know, is to do just what we're proposing to do, or some of us are anyway, and that is make cuts, because the mayor chose not to. Okay? What we're talking about is purely an accounting gimmick to say that because the bond rating agency won't see the stabilization be taken out, all is well. but yet we're still using $600,000 of it to balance a budget that has recurring expenses. And I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. You never use stabilization to balance a recurring budget. It is for one-time use. So obviously tonight, after I heard the mayor for the last 5 years tell us not to do this, she's now all of a sudden telling us, well, if you do it, I'm going to have to do this, or this might happen, so it doesn't really matter because the bond rating agency's not going to see it. It's an accounting gimmick. We're still going to take money out of the account, and what if that 580 isn't there next year? What are we going to have to do? We're going to have to take more out of it, and then more out of it. This is the path we're on, ladies and gentlemen. Starting in 2008, the budget was balanced with $300,000 in free cash. It is now close to 1.6. It's gone up by 5 times. So even a 580 cut is still not going to do good enough to get us down to balance structurally. Because the concern I have is that money may not be there next year. And quite frankly, the reason why the mayor's proposing stabilization for the first time in 6 years is because the other avenue that she usually depended on, free cash, wasn't as robust as it was in years past. This is what happens. So I made cut recommendations based on spending history over the last 6 years. Data that I have compiled that everybody in this room has full access to and can do their own analysis. So when I propose a cut of $29,000 out of holidays, it's not because the police, I want to penalize the police. It's because I'm saying to the mayor who put that in there at that amount, I disagree with her allocation. Because the mayor is funding that account at $29,000 or $30,000 more than has ever been used in that account in 6 years. And even with these cuts, there'll still be a contingency. I don't concern myself with where the mayor's going to put the money if we cut it, because the mayor can't do anything unless we cut it, period. So we've given her suggestions. We've suggested to her we don't want to do this or that. It's in her court once this is done. But she can't have a court to have a say in if we don't do this. So I appreciate everybody's concern about the state, and I'm glad to hear that, but I get frustrated, and my apologies for sounding frustrated, when I hear councilors say we should just pass it as is, and, you know, department heads are already stretched to the max. That's the whole point of my cuts. These cuts signify they are not stretched to the max because they're not using what they're getting. And I'm not saying it's because they are choosing not to or because they're being fiscally prudent. I contend in most cases it's not being used because it's too much in the account. That's it. That's all I'm proposing with these. There's too much in these accounts. Given the fact that we have a $1.6 million structural unbalanced budget, we have to be tight, and no department head's going to tell us don't cut it. Of course they're not. So the 580 we're all clear on. I'm sorry, I thought the 2 police officer retirements through attrition, I don't know where I got that, but I was pretty sure that was the case. My apologies if I totally misread that. But the 4 firefighters through attrition is happening, and that is completely reckless and mind-boggling to me, because we are banking on the fact that there might be supplemental funding later to restore those cuts, but what's that supplemental funding going to be? One-time money. Is that money going to be there next year? We don't know. So I don't want to use it through that avenue. If we let those cuts go through, we run the risk of having to pay back the federal government triple. Which is why, again, I say, the mayor didn't want to make the tough cuts to make that not happen at all, so we have to. And I'm glad to take on that challenge. So I don't know if everybody wants me to propose every cut on this page. I won't. I don't want to waste everybody's time. But that is the source of my frustration since I've been on this council. All right, this is our job, and there is a methodology behind these cuts. It's called baseline budgeting. It's no more difficult than that. All right, if a department's using a certain amount of money every year, I'm not asking that we cut it even further. That's why I get so frustrated. The cuts still leave a balance. Thank you.
Councilor Bean.
Thank you, Mr. President. Getting back to the free cash, are we expecting certification October, or do we have a sense?
Probably October.
That's October,
Yep.
okay. So we have to wait.
Close the books and,
Okay.
yep,
Any
submit.
estimate on where we are now?
No,
I mean, there's got to be an estimate. Somebody has to have a sense of where we are.
the sense, it won't be as great as last year. Last year was terrific. We had over 4 million. I would say safely it should be over $1 million based on the spending and the revenues that we've taken in, maybe closer to 2. But,
Because that has impact on...
yeah, I would say it would be much lower than last year, maybe half of last year's, which was $4 million.
Okay.
That's a guesstimate. It's all subject to review, and we are at the whim of the state when they come out, and there are sometimes some state grants that we've spent the money, we asked for reimbursements, we didn't get the money back yet, they may dock us for that, even though we don't control getting the money, so. But basically, it does look pretty, like a normal year, a positive year.
And getting back to the mayor's budget, as she submitted it, and then we've had meetings night after night, going over it, talking about the cuts and that. There were some cuts that department heads said, yeah, we could live with, and we kind of all agreed upon. Now, they weren't all the ones that Councilor Di Natale suggested. Some of those that he suggested, I feel, had to deal with bargaining issues, and it could muddy things up. But there are some of these cuts that I think are reasonable, that we've talked to department heads, they think it can be done, and I think as a counselor, I feel obligated to take the best look at this budget and make cuts where we feel appropriate. So I may not be up to the 800,000 mark, but I think I've got there's a few of them there. I think it was the short-term borrowing money. I think the treasurer said there's 100,000 in there. There are some accounts there I think we could all agree on. So, all I'm saying is I think there are some areas here we could still make some cuts and still live with a budget without, and move forward.
I guess my statement is, I didn't vote for the budget as presented because of the stabilization. Okay, but there was nothing in my mind that said I wanted to take $800 and something thousand out of this budget, and there's nothing in my mind that says I didn't want to take anything out of this budget. But there's got to be a compromise, and I may not even make $500,000 in budget. I mean, I'm not the one that stayed up nights making this budget to present to us, and to me, I would think that's a great responsibility that the mayor has to present us with this budget. It's not something that she takes lightly. It's not something that she woke up one morning and said, here, send this to the press, we're done. Okay, because I think that she has her own philosophy as to how she wants to run the city. If I was the CEO of Weathervane, I probably wouldn't want to spend every penny the way I would spend more money the way I would want to as the GM, but the person that owns the company says, no, you can't always spend the money the way you want to spend it, or you can't always save the money where you want to spend it, because sometimes you have to be able to spend money to make money. The whole idea, again, with taking cuts out of this budget that are for the sake of taking cuts out, some of those just take out free cash from next year. Again, I do want to save some of the stabilization money. I'm not up to $500,000, so I don't mind going through this and making some cuts and some recommendations, but I'm not in favor of taking 800 and something thousand, and I hope that we can make a compromise as this goes along. Councilor Caddy.
I feel too. I do not want to touch the money in stabilization. Maybe we shouldn't have put it in there. But if we can arrive at that figure, and when the free cash comes in the fall, replenish snow and ice, replenish some of the other things if we need to, I just don't want to be known as taking money out of stabilization. I don't think we should do it. I think it's our responsibility to at least get to that figure tonight. And I agree with Councilor Bean. I heard some of the department heads say they could remove some of those items, and I think we can get to that $580,000 tonight. And I also want to comment to the mayor. In the last 6 years, what do we have, $4.5 million in stabilization? Is that the last count? We started with $20,000 when she got here. I don't think she's doing this the night before last just to give us a budget. I think she spent a lot of time on it. I think she works hard on it. I just disagree with taking money out of stabilization. That's all.
Councilor T. Bowman, yes.
It just seems like we're gonna, in some way, gonna have to take money out, whether it's 200,000 because of the 800,000 that's been presented, or the 580,000 that's been presented. There's still gonna be not, the money not going into the account, however you see it, whether it's taking it out or not. So that kind of solution, and I get everyone's trying to, you know, find a solution about where they want it, where they feel comfortable, the amount that they don't want to take out, or the money they don't want to, however you look at this accounting, how this is set up as an accounting. But also just, you know, there's, you know, when we're talking about being reckless and about our job, there's some new programs that have, like our trash program, our new wastewater systems that, you know, I saw some cuts in there that just, you know, we have to take into consideration that kind of transition period that our department heads told us about. And the other thing is, yes, our job, I wouldn't say, and I think it's a misrepresentation of what our job is as city councilor, in my opinion. But it's not only to cut, that's what we're authorized to do when it comes to the budget time. Whether we do or don't do, that's our choice as individuals in the council. But I think further, but you know, what our job is to look at the quality of life in our city, and looking at the services, and looking at how we respond to our constituents and what's best for the city. And if an accounting issue that, you know, stabilization is there as kind of to help our credit, right, so that we can get, you know, bonds and we can borrow money and we look like a healthy city. If this isn't affecting that, then I don't see the big issue of not putting in money or looking like it's being taken out this particular year, and look at what we do next year, and start that conversation now. Whether it's here in this room, at finance, you know, these are all things that, you know, we can take an initiative and start to talk about. So I still stand on that piece as far as the cuts go, and what our job is, and this recklessness of cutting.
Councilor Tran.
Mr. President, we as a council should come to a consensus and move forward with reducing the budget by $580,000, simply because the majority of the council believe that we shouldn't take this money and use it from the stabilization fund. And the mayor has stated 2 meetings ago that she would not use that money if it's up to her. So there's the consensus. The majority of the council and the mayor agree that we shouldn't use this money. So that's our baseline. That's the minimum that we should, the minimum number that we should be using, and let's work with that. If we don't, we'll be here all night, and I don't want to do that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Start the coffee brewing. We have a motion on the table on the floor for $29,000 to be removed from police holiday. Any further discussion? I would, if I had my way, I would probably make this $20,000 instead of $29,000.
I would remove the motion, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm taking the motion off.
Okay.
And I think, if I can, I believe 580 should be the goal, but I am compromising personally myself by going down another 100,000, because I cannot, I'll be honest with you, even if the cuts go through, I don't know if I'm going to vote for the same, because there's a whole plethora of things wrong with this budget, but, you know, we're talking 580, I'm talking 740, because those 4 firefighters, not because the firefighters are more special than everybody else, but because of the tide to federal grant money that could potentially cost us triple that amount, and having to use one-time cash to restore them later. It's going to be hard for me to support this at a minimum of 740, let alone at all. But I suggest that we look at the list and come up with the bigger cuts that get us to at least 580, and then go from that point. But that's my suggestion, instead of going right down the page.
Councilor Hay.
Nitpick.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we cut $350,000 from reserve snow and ice.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to cut $350,000.
Page 52.
Yep.
Reserve snow and ice transfer.
Reserve snow and ice. Discussion on the motion, Counselor Caddy.
I'll stick to the motion. I wanted to say something, but I'll stay with the motion, then I have a question.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand.
The Health Department, $1,600 for the chairman for the chairman stipend.
In front of us right now, Counselors, health insurance, $100,000.
I'm trying to get this out because it comes out to 580. I think those are my memory on every one of them.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4 in opposition.
7-4.
Move that short-term debt interest be reduced by $100,000 and contract fees be reduced by $125,000 from BOH.
Could you repeat the motion, please?
I'm sorry, move that $100,000 be taken out of short-term debt interest.
Motion made and seconded to take $100,000 out of the Treasurer's Department short-term debt.
Speaking on the motion,
Speaking on the motion.
if I recall, the treasurer said that he could live within that cut. Is that my recollection? Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hold on, please.
3 opposed?
Who's the third? Thank you.
So 8-3.
8-3.
Move $125,000 be cut from Board of Health contract fees.
Currently, the amount cut from the budget is $550,000.
Did we have a motion?
Nobody seconded it.
Can I make a motion to reduce contract fees by $25,000?
Under which,
Board of Health.
rubbish removal,
The one that's currently 125?
Yeah.
the one that's currently 125? By 25? Motion made to reduce contracted fees under Board of Health collection and disposal by $25,000.
Speaking on the motion, my recollection was that the Board of Health Director...
I thought we did. No, we haven't got a second. Sorry.
Oh, I'll second it.
Second.
Speaking on the motion, my recollection was the director was somewhat uncertain about this number, was a new number, and wasn't sure if he could live with it? Oh, it's a different, okay, so this one you can, okay. You can live with it.
The 25,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're in opposition to something?
Yes, I am.
Whoa,
9-2.
Way more.
yeah, 9-2.
Motion to reduce FICA by $5,000.
What is our goal here? I thought we were at our goal.
I need 580. That's my goal. I don't know what everybody else's goal is.
575.
And what's our total debt? What's our total reduction right now?
So far, 575,000.
Just wanted to,
Have a
just
calculator.
wanted official. And what was this?
I'll second.
5,000 from FICA.
$5,000 from employee benefits FICA. Is there a second?
Second.
You made the motion, Joe. You can't second it.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
5 in it.
5 in opposition.
So it's
Who's the
6.
fifth?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, Counselor Reynolds, I'm sorry, I
Yep.
didn't see that. Thank you. 6 to 5.
reduce the chairman's stipend in the assessor's office at $1,600.
What number are we trying to
Reduce it
reach?
by
We're at
16?
5.8.
What number are we
Reduce it by
trying to reach?
$1,600.
Well, that's the stabilization.
Right. So why are we going any further?
I think this is a new to the budget. The chairman never got a stipend before, and I think it just got put in the budget to see if it would fly. That's my opinion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to reduce the assessor's office chairman's stipend by $1,500.
There's only 15.
There's only 1,500 there. Motion made and second discussion.
Question on, is that required by ordinance?
It's
I was
required
gonna-
that they have a chairman, and I think Mr. Caputi might be looking towards retirement and getting somebody else available to do that job. It's not a job that, he's always assumed the job, it's not been an elected job. I think he explained to us why he wanted it in there. He's not going to be around forever. Mayor?
I know we're looking at both the position and the individual. This is an individual that comes in early, he's one of the first people there, one is the last person to leave. The reason why he does that is because he's saving the city about 40 grand a year that we're not contracting out. So he's spending his own time doing what we would typically contract out. I think 1,500 for all the extra duties that he's taken on is very small.
Move $6,000 be taken out of temporary clerical purchasing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to take $6,000 out of temporary clerical, which department again? sir?
Purchasing.
Purchasing. Discussion?
It's no second.
Oh, I thought there was a, I heard it. I heard second, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
6 opposed,
Wait a minute.
so it doesn't,
What's 6?
doesn't
minute.
pass.
Joseph, Clark, Bean,
So it
Reynolds.
doesn't pass.
Yeah.
Motion to reduce $20,000 from other benefits.
Can we see those hands again?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay.
2,
Mr.
3,
President, I
4,
wasn't looking at you.
5, 6. Thank you.
Move $9,000 be taken out of administrative support legal. We do?
Yeah, Council Dino, is that something?
Fine,
What
yeah.
was the motion, Council?
$20,000 reduction in other benefits.
Motion made for a $20,000 reduction out of other benefits. Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
874.
Are we on some kind of a feeding frenzy now, or are we just...
Motion we cut $8,000 from voting equipment maintenance. I think the city clerk went back and looked at her budget after some discussion here, and I think she said this was okay,
I did.
so.
Second.
Motion made a second to remove $8,000 from voting equipment and maintenance. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, what is the number we are at now?
I have 608,000. Anna?
I don't-
Okay, I have 608,000.
All set? We have a motion.
Post cuts?
Second.
Motion made and second to accept the current budget as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Please keep
So it's
7-4. Passes.
Do we have a motion? Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. Listen, the salute to the flag, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
President Joseph.
Here.
Councilor Bean.
Here, President.
Councilor Beauvais.
Here.
Councilor Carboni.
Here.
Councilor Clark.
Here.
Councilor Di Natale.
Here.
Councilor Hay.
Here.
Councilor Caddy.
Here.
Councilor Reynolds.
Here.
Councilor Tebow Munoz.
Here.
Councilor Tran.
Here.
Warrant for a special meeting of the Fitchburg City Council. A special meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, June 18, 2013, immediately following the Council as a Whole Committee, which is scheduled to begin immediately after following the regular City Council meeting, which is scheduled to begin at 7:30, 615 Rollstone Street, Memorial Middle School Library, Fitchburg, Mass. First item on the agenda is an oral report from the Council as a Whole Committee on the following matters. Petition 11813, Mayor Lisa Wong to create a financial task force with a term to last from September 1st through September 1st, 2015, as outlined in the enclosed petition. It was recommended that that was rejected.
Are you looking to me?
Yeah, 8-3.
3 to 8.
3 to 8
It failed.
Second.
on that petition. Motion made and second to accept the committee's report on 11813. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 11913, Councilor Marcus Di Natale to amend, do we know what this one was?
1 to 10.
The Fitchburg City Code that the salary position of the city solicitor and assistant city solicitor reflect a contracted service expense to be selected and are renewed by the mayor of the city of Fitchburg on an annual basis effective July 1st, 2013, and this was not recommended by the council by a vote of 1 to 10.
Move the council's recommendation be accepted on the petition.
Motion made and second to accept the council's recommendation on 11913. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One in opposition. Next one, final review of the fiscal year 2014 budget-related orders, 13013. It was recommended out of the general fund be $103,064,069. And motion to accept one.
The cuts?
That's with the cuts.
Motion to accept.
Motion and second to accept 13013 as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those in opposed? 3 in opposition. 13113, order appropriate $700,000, same to be credited to the FY 2014 tax levy and charged against the overlay surplus.
Motion to approve 13113.
Motion made and second to approve 13113. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1 in opposition. 13213, order to transfer $150,000 to the fiscal year 2000 tax levy from the Treasurer Debt Services fiscal year 13.
Motion to approve 13213.
Motion made and second to approve 13213. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1 in opposition.
2.
2. 13313, order appropriate $580,000, same to be credited to the fiscal year 20,000 tax levy and charged against the stabilization fund.
Motion to give 13313 leave to withdraw.
Second.
Motion made and second to give 13313 leave to withdraw. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2 in opposition. 13413, order to appropriate $170,000 to be credited to the fiscal year 2014 tax levy and charge against available funds.
To amend that to 142,000.
Motion to amend 13413 to $142,000. That's the remainder of the cut money.
I made a second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 3 in opposition.
Move 153, 135-13, up to and including 150-13, the reports be accepted.
Second.
Motion made and second to accept 13513 up to and including 15013. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any further discussion? I just want to thank you, councilors. It's been a long night. It's been a long 3 weeks. We've got to the end of the process. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, we're there. And I thank everybody for their civility tonight. It was a good discussion. There was a lot of good debate. We got to the end of our process, and I want to thank you for getting us there. Hopefully, this will be a good day for the city of Fitchburg. Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.